I'm going to use a demonstration product for this to actually create a sales message so you can see how this process works. And I'm going to use the product or service of web design services because we can all just about kind of understand what web design services. And in fact, the next step in sort of organizing and brainstorming your product details, you want to make a list of the key features and what's included with that product. When you think about the features, try to think about, picture what you sell being a box. So the product or service that you sell is a box. What's in the box? So what is included? What does the customer get? What do you do for the customer? And for example, here with web design services, we design and build websites. We do graphic design, copywriting. We could go on and include other things there. Then go one step further and think about, how do you differ from the competition? If you differ in some sort of way, it's very important for that to be in your sales message. If your offering is me too, meaning it's the same, for example, if you are a laundromat and you do dry cleaning, there might be nothing special about your dry cleaning services. Dry cleaning is what it is. So it's okay if you don't differentiate in any particular way. But if you do, you definitely want to have that in your sales message so that you don't forget to emphasize that, whether you're talking to someone or sending emails. And also going back to, if you sell something that's more commoditized or me too, maybe your product or service that you provide or deliver is exactly the same, but maybe there's something different about the way you do business, your pricing or your customer service or the terms. You're more flexible, you're easy to do business with. So you can do some brainstorming in the area of differentiation. And then we can go one step further to think about the company we work for, the company we own. How are we different? Have we won any awards? How long have we been in business? Are there any really bragging points about our company? If not, that's fine. If you're a brand new startup, no big deal. But if there's some really great details about your company, this is where you want to put that, and you definitely want to get that into your sales message. So the next step is to think about, okay, we're trying to sell this product to a particular audience. So who are we creating this sales message for? Now, you can get pretty sophisticated when you're thinking about who we're creating a sales message for and get very specific and create very tailored and specific sales messages. For example, you might want to take a step back and think about, okay, what type of customer are we selling to? Is this B2B, B2C? Are we selling to homeowners, individuals? And then you might want to think about the size of business that you're going after. Are we going after small businesses or large multinational corporations? You could maybe think about your target buyer type in terms of number of employees, number of sites. You might want to create different messages for different geographies. Maybe you sell to different parts of the country, or you might sell to international, to different countries. You might create different sales messages for different industries. If you can sell your service to manufacturers and also retail, that could be two totally different sales messages, even knowing the product you're selling is exactly the same. If you sell B2B, you likely could sell your service or product to different departments inside of an organization. For example, let's say you sell software. You could probably, of course, sell your software to IT, but maybe it's the finance department that will also be involved in the purchase of that. So you could, in addition to selling to the director of IT, you could also do prospecting to the director of finance. And you can also sell to different levels of the organization. So of course, you might be able to sell to the C-level, VP, director. Now, these are just some of the different demographics of your different target buyer type. And you can think about these when creating different sales messages because, for example, the C-level might have different interests or different pain points than a frontline manager. So when you're getting really sophisticated, what you could do is you could create different sales messages, even if you only sell one product or service, and those different sales messages can target some of these different buyer types. And that's really where you can get to the next level and perform better than the competition because you can really hit those very particular hot buttons and communicate really speaking the customer's language. Now, what I would say is out of the gate, you don't need to worry too much about this. I'm telling you this really early in this training because this is something you might want to think about and need to know, but most likely you should come back to this. We definitely believe in a crawl, walk, run approach. So the crawl would be, let's just create one sales message and start to implement the smart sales system. And most likely, if you're just creating your first one sales message, you'd want a fairly broad buyer type to where you can use the same message where when you're talking or calling or emailing any of your different prospects. You might want to just create a sales message for businesses or individuals or homeowners, something very broad. and then come back later. So the crawl step would be to create one sales message that you can use for everybody. Then the walk step would be, okay, now we're going to create different sales messages for the different products or services that we sell. And then the run step might be, okay, let's create different sales messages for different industries or different geographic areas or different size of businesses. So for this demo, we're going to just use small businesses, very broad category, and allows us to use this sales message for just about everybody we prospect and talk to. The next step is to think about, okay, well, when we sell web design services to small businesses, what improvements can we make? We know what we're going to do. We're going to design their websites, redo their websites. On the left side there is what we're going to do. But what does that mean to the small businesses? Because we just don't want to just go out of the gate talking about what we sell. We want to lead with talking about how we can improve them. And that can help us to improve our ability to grab their attention and to build interest. So let's take a step and talk about how to organize and brainstorm the benefits that we can deliver. Now, benefits can be pretty tricky because it can be easy to intermingle benefits and features and benefits. For example, what your product does is that's not what benefits are, that's features and functionality. I'll give you an example. So if you order groceries online through like an app, and the app will allow you to submit your order and then someone will deliver your groceries to your house, you might think that the benefit is that you'll have your groceries delivered to your home. But that's actually a feature. That's a feature of the app. That's what's in the box. The groceries being ordered on the app and delivered to your home is the functionality. The benefit of that feature is that you can order groceries without going anywhere. So that's the benefit. You can order groceries from your couch, spend little energy, save time, and not have to do anything. But the groceries being delivered to your home is the functionality. So that's what the product does. And that is not benefits. So it's important to be able to, in your mind, understand that, okay, how I help is the benefits. What my product does is not benefits, that's features and functionality. So the improvements that the product creates, this is what benefits are. The improvements are, I can save time cleaning my house while someone else is getting my groceries and do two things at once. So that's an improvement. That's the value. Now, to help you with this, there's really a few main ways that most products and services help someone. So I'll give you the examples of the most common ways, and we can use those examples to then brainstorm when we think about your product and service. So some of the very common main ways that just about every product or service helps is that they often make something work better. They often make something easier. They decrease the amount of time it takes to do something. They can increase your income or revenue. They decrease costs and expenses. They can decrease the risk that might come with doing something. They can improve visibility or access to information. So if we go back to the ordering groceries from the app makes something work better by allowing us to order groceries from an app instead of having to get in a car. They make something easier because we don't have to spend that time and energy. They decrease the time it takes to grocery shop. They could help us to increase income because maybe we could work from home and work our job while someone's grocery shopping, making more money. So as you can see, those are the benefits of that app. Now, what I want to do here is I want to actually give you another example. And you could either just use this as an example and forget it in 5 minutes, but you could actually use this as a tool because it's a very simple example and you could picture it in your mind and you could use it as a tool when you're thinking about your own product or you're talking to prospects, and use it to sort of self-manage yourself, because when you're not paying attention, it can be easy to fall back into talking about features and functionality because you have a lot of knowledge likely in your head about features and functionality. And so you really have to self-manage yourself and push yourself and keep yourself focused more on benefits. So I'm going to give you this example here. And like I said, hopefully it's a simple example that you could come back and think about. And the example is a gym facility. So if you sold memberships to a gym facility, the product and features and functionality you can easily see, right? And that's why I'm using this example, because it's easy for us to touch, feel, and see. The features and functionality of the gym membership and the facility are treadmills, weights, classes, yoga classes, personal training, a lap pool, basketball court. And those are all features and functionality. And like I said, you can easily just close your eyes and picture treadmills, right? Treadmills is functionality. But if you want to talk about the benefits and improvements of that product, that's also easy for you to understand, which is the benefits of using the facility is improved physical health, an increase in confidence, decrease in medical expenses, improved personal relationships, decreased stress, improved quality of sleep. And so those are benefits created by the product. Now, I think this is a good tool to use because when you're talking to prospects, you can stop yourself and think about, okay, when you're delivering your pitch, you can sit there and think about, okay, am I talking about treadmills or am I talking about improving physical health? Am I talking about weight machines or am I talking about improving personal relationships, improving confidence? Relating it to what you sell. And you might realize, oh, wait, I'm talking about features and functionality. I'm talking about treadmills. And you can use that as a guideline to push yourself to get back to talking about decreasing costs and improving operations and whatnot. Now, at the end of the day, our goal here is to brainstorm somewhere between 3 to 6 benefits that your product or service can deliver. If you can do that, you'll have enough to create a good sales message. But I'm going to talk about something here that's a little bit more advanced when you really want to get sophisticated. And it's that you can brainstorm and break your benefits down into 3 levels. And so the first level is technical value. And so technical value refers to how your product or service might help to improve processes or systems or people. And when I say technical value, I'm not necessarily referring to this is where you might sell technology or it might be software or that what you sell is very technical. It's just, this is the technical level of where your product applies. For example, a yoga class is not technical at all, but a yoga class can help to decrease stress. And decreasing stress is improving the process for someone. So it doesn't have to be technical. It's just, this is really where things are working together and you're helping improve how things work. For example, just a lot of examples here. So it's kind of an eye chart, but you could help to automate manual tasks, make something work better, decrease the amount of time it takes to do something, make something easier, increase visibility to access to information, improve communications or connectivity, improve performance of systems, improve the reliability of systems and processes. So again, we've already talked about some of those so far, but now when you create technical value and technical improvements, those will have a cascading effect to create even more improvements in what we call level 2, which is business value. So when you help to improve processes and make things work better, those will often lead to business improvements in the B2B world, such as decreasing costs, helping that company to sell more and increase their income, their revenue, help them to deliver their services better. For example, improve revenue, market share, close rate, conversion rate, decrease costs, inventory costs, decrease risk, improve decision-making, decrease product delivery time, improve delivery of services, improve product quality for the products that your customer sells, improve customer satisfaction for your customer's customer, improve customer retention, again, for your customer's customer. So that's if you're selling B2B. And when you deliver business value, those can create another level of improvements, which is what we call personal value. And this is where you create benefits for the person that you're selling to. Now, this could be if you're selling to an executive, a manager. This is where the benefits that your product delivers could help them personally. So if they buy from you and that helps their company to sell more or save costs, that might help them from an income perspective to hit their annual bonus or get better commissions or help them to advance their career or help them to decrease their workload by automating something so they can get home and have dinner with their family. And so some examples of these might be increased personal income bonuses, decrease personal expenses, create opportunities for career advancement and increase recognition, decrease workload, decrease stress, increase level of happiness, improve work-life balance, improve personal relationships. Now, if you don't sell B2B, you might skip level 2. So if you're selling B2C, it might be technical value that leads to personal value because you're selling directly to the individual. But don't get too stressed about that. I just break that down because for a couple reasons. One is it might help you with your brainstorming because you could often get stuck where you're only thinking about technical value and you forget about all the business value value you deliver, or vice versa, you focus more on the business value and you think about all those technical details of all the small things that you help to improve. So this is just to help you with brainstorming. And if you really want to get sophisticated, you could create different sales messages where your executive level sales message focuses more on business value and your frontline manager sales message focuses more on technical value. Now, this is actually one of the more difficult steps of creating your sales message, and it can often be difficult for us to stop and think about what are the different ways that we help. So what I'm going to provide here are questions that you can ask yourself, and you can just go through these real quickly, and these can basically be thought-provoking questions that help you to think of additional ways that your product or service might help. So you can insert in red here, does your product help? And then you can insert the target for this sales message, help to improve any processes, make anything work better, make anything easier, save time, improve visibility, improve communications, make anything more reliable, reduce the effort, energy, manpower needed to do something, automate anything. Now notice if we change the buyer type here to either a different industry or different person in the organization, that could change the answers here. So this is an example of how when you change the target buyer type, the benefits and interests can change and the sales message changes. Here's some business value brainstorming questions. Does your product help the target buyer type to decrease any costs, increase revenue, improve profitability, improve decision-making, decrease risk, improve the quality of their services, improve customer satisfaction in any way? Personal value questions. Do you help to increase personal income, decrease expenses, increase potential for promotion, increase potential for job performance recognition, improve work-life balance, decrease stress, improve happiness, be more comfortable, improve job security, improve the workplace atmosphere? So those are just brainstorming questions. You don't have to answer all of those. Use those if you like, but those should hopefully help you to organize your thoughts and things that you might not have thought of otherwise. Now let's get back to the demonstration here and let's create value points for selling web design services to small businesses. And you can use this as a guide and to help you get ideas for creating your own sales message. One tip here is we can start with those common benefits. I mentioned there's a few main ways that just about every product or service helps. So do you help to make something work better? Do you help to make something easier? Decrease time, increase revenue, decrease costs, improve quality, decrease risk, improve visibility. So those are some common ways. Well, we can look at those common ways and think, what do we help to increase? We help to increase website traffic. We help to make something work better by converting more customers that are on our website. And we help to increase the revenue generated through the website. So we help with revenue generation, increased revenue. So then we can take those and complete this step in creating our sales message. So the next step is to think about, okay, now let's think about pain points that we can use in our consultative selling sales message. Pain points are basically challenges that the target buyer that you're trying to communicate with will relate to, will possibly have, that your product or service can make go away. You don't necessarily care about pain points that your product or service has nothing to do with. Now, in the same way that we can break value down into 3 levels, we can break pain down into 3 levels. There's technical pain, which are processes aren't working well, systems aren't working well, or people. So tasks are manual, things are not working well. It takes a lot of time and effort to do something. Things are difficult to see what's going on. Connectivity, communications is difficult. Performance, reliability aren't great. When you have those technical challenges, those will often create business pain in terms of less revenue, higher costs, difficult to find ways to increase revenue, can't close deals, conversion rates aren't good, decision-making is slow, difficult to decrease costs, long delivery time, product quality, customer satisfaction isn't good, customer retention isn't good. And when those business pains are going on, usually the person that you're trying to sell to could be having some personal pain because they're not hitting their objectives. They're worried about their job security, they're working late nights. So not making enough income, lack of financial strength, not able to get promoted, not getting enough recognition, working too much, job is extremely stressful, chaotic, not a good work-life balance, not happy. So those are all pain points. And if your product or service can make those go away, then you should use that in your sales message and when you're communicating with prospects. So now let's try to organize some pain points for selling web design services to small businesses. Now here's a tip. By the way, I mentioned organizing and brainstorming your benefits is the hardest step. This whole process gets easier from there. Think of it as going downhill after you've organized good benefits and value points, because let me show you, we can use the value points that we came up with to brainstorm the pain points, because for each way that you help, each improvement that your product or service delivers, there's usually an opposite pain point. There's a problem that goes away when you create that improvement. Or if you're delivering that service and that improvement, if you take it away, there's some sort of problem that will start to happen. So we can look at each of these one by one and say, well, if we increase the revenue that they generate through their website, the pain point is not enough revenue coming in through their website. If you help to improve website conversion rates, people buying and buying more, then the pain is that website visitors aren't converting, or there's a lot of shopping cart abandonment. If you help to increase website traffic, not getting enough website traffic, or there's a need to increase website traffic. So instead of just looking at a blank whiteboard or piece of paper to say what pain points should we talk about, we can use the value points as a guide, and for each we just look at and say what is the opposite of that, and then we can fill that in here, moving right along. See, as you can see, it's a lot faster once we get through the value points. The next step is to think of good questions to ask. Good questions to ask. One of the core concepts of the smart sales system is the best salesperson is the one that asks the best questions. You may say, I agree with that, but still not know what questions to ask. Great questions to ask are questions that probe if your prospect has the pain points that you can make go away. So what we want to do is we want to come up with pain questions. Now, you may say that, well, if I fix this pain point, if I just ask, do you have this pain point? Then that's a good thing to do. Well, it's not that easy, because there's a couple concepts here that I want to talk about. One is latent pain. You may solve a pain point, but your prospect might not know that that pain point exists. For example, let's say that you fix oil leaks on cars. If you ask your customer, do you currently have an oil leak? They may say no, but that's not because they don't have an oil leak. They might have an oil leak, but they don't know that they have it. And that's what we call latent pain. The problem exists, but the prospect doesn't know that it exists. So with that, if you ask a very closed question, do you have an oil leak? They say, no, I'm fine. It's difficult to continue with that conversation. So what you need to do is you need to design your questions correctly to minimize running into prospects that have latent pain. I'll talk about that in a minute. The other challenge that you can run into with the questions you ask is that you solve a pain point and you ask about the pain point, and the prospect knows that they have the challenge, but they say everything's okay just because they don't want to talk about it, or they don't want to deal with it, or they want to get rid of you. So they're almost in a state of denial, denying that they have the pain. So you want to factor these in with how you design your questions and keep these in mind when you're actually asking your questions. So I'm going to provide a few tips here on how to compose the questions you ask, because we can't just take the pain point and put a do you have in front of the pain point. For example, if the pain point is trouble sleeping at night, we can't just say, do you have trouble sleeping at night? Because of the two things I just talked about. Either the prospect might not know they have the pain, or they might be in a state of denial and just say, no, I'm fine. So what we want to do is we want to ask more open-ended questions, questions that get the prospect talking. And I'm going to give you a few templates here that you can copy and use for yourself. And it's very simple. What you do is take the pain point, and ask, how do you feel about in front of it? So for example, how do you feel about the amount of time it takes to train new salespeople? So if a pain point is, it takes a long time to train salespeople, instead of asking, does it take a long time to train salespeople? We're asking the prospect how they feel about the time it takes to train salespeople. How concerned are you about the amount of time it takes to train salespeople? How happy are you with the amount of time it takes to train salespeople? So we're getting to how they feel about it, because if they're not feeling any pain, then it's not a pain point for them, and we might not be able to build any interest around that. Another way I like to phrase questions is, how important is it for you to, for example, how much of a priority is it for you to find new ways to increase website traffic? How important is it for you to increase website traffic? So instead of saying, do you need to increase website traffic? I'm trying to figure out, how concerned are they about website traffic? The other thing is that these questions help you to feel out where the area that you have something to sell ranks on the prospect's level of interest or pain or priority, because they may have 10 different things that they want to accomplish in the next year. And if you're either not on the list of 10 or you're at the bottom of the list, then that's a challenge for you. Maybe they're not a qualified prospect. When you start out a question with this wording in front of the area of the pain point that you help to fix, it helps you to extract very valuable information on what the prospect thinks and feels and wants and prioritizes regarding what you sell. When was the last time you blank questions? How often have you experienced errors in your invoices? When was the last time you analyzed your invoices for errors? How often do you reconcile your vendor invoices? So just to give you some ideas there. Now, I mentioned when we started talking about questions that you should not ask, do you have questions? Because those are closed questions, questions that can be answered with yes, no. There are times when it does make sense to ask very specific closed yes, no questions. And this is when you want a very specific answer of the prospect has this, or they don't have that, or they want this, or they don't want that. Do you currently have a system in place for error scanning? Have you had trouble with synchronizing data across systems? Is your process for transferring sales data manual? As you can see, very specific questions. Maybe the answers to those, even if it's yes or no, is very valuable. Those are times where you want to just use very closed, specific yes, no questions. You also want to be cautious to not be too invasive with the questions you ask when you're doing prospecting. So you may have a pain point, but if that pain point touches an area that's very private or personal, you might want to be cautious to not ask about it so directly. For example, talking about compliance for a company. How do you feel about your ability to meet all the different compliance requirements? So here's an example. If you solve the problem of your customers being not in compliance, then instead of saying, are you in compliance, where your prospect would never want to either admit that to some salesperson or someone that just called them on a cold call, you might want to ask how they feel about compliance. How do you feel about your ability to meet compliance? So you're not asking if they're in compliance. How concerned are you about getting fined for compliance issues? So what we're doing is we're using the other question techniques of how do you feel about and how important is it? How important is it for you to improve your ability to stay compliant? How much of a priority is it for you to decrease having to pay fines? So we're using those other question techniques to soften the question when we're in a delicate area so that we're not being too invasive. All right, so let's move along. Let's try to get pain questions for selling web design. Now, here's a tip is that we can go back to the pain points that we came up with. Here are all the pain points. And for each pain point, there's usually one or two questions that we can ask. So how important is it to get more revenue out of your website? How important is it to improve website conversion rates? Do you need to increase website traffic and visitors? So we used our pain points, came up with 3 pain questions. Whether or not those are perfect or not for selling web design is debatable. We're just trying to show this process here. Of course, there are probably more pain points and more questions to ask. We do want to come up with another category of questions, and we refer to these as current state questions. Current state questions basically probe to see what the prospect is doing in the area where you have something to offer. For example, if you sold cars, current state questions would be, do you have a car today? What year is it? What model is it? What are you driving? How's it running? How often do you usually buy cars? When was the last time you looked at buying a car? Are you in a lease or do you currently own your car? I can't tell you what current state questions to ask for your product or service, but what I can do is I can provide areas for you to think about asking questions. For example, you probably want to ask, do they currently have something in place for what you sell? So going back to our same example of web design services, that type of question would be, do you currently have a website? Which probably isn't a great question for someone selling web design because they should go to their website and do the research ahead of the call. But I'm just trying to show the process here so that you can plug in your own product or service. So some of these might not be perfect questions for this scenario, but just follow along, please. You might want to ask about their current provider or vendor. Are you currently working with a web design agency? Of course, there's follow-up questions there with how's everything going? What do you like about them? What don't you like? How long have you been with them? But I'm going to move on to some other categories here. You probably want to identify the current systems that they have in place or processes. So what CMS platform is your website built on? You might want to ask about people in the organization. Do you have internal web design resources? Current contracts and expiration dates? When does your current agreement expire? There are likely size details, depending on what you sell, that you want to ask about. Number of sites, people, systems, revenue, whatnot. So how many different websites do you currently have? You might want to ask about current performance or stats. How much traffic are you currently getting on your website? Last time evaluated options. When was last time you considered redoing your website? So we can plug those in here. Current state questions. So we have a bunch of questions asked. The next and last step of creating a sales message is to create a name drop example. A name drop example is basically in your sales message, creating an example of another customer that you can share with your prospects. And this is really powerful for a couple reasons. First of all, it can help you to more clearly communicate what your product or service does. So instead of just talking about the features and functionality and even the improvements, when you can share an example of selling your product or service to another client and what you did for them and how it helped, that can help you to clearly communicate what you sell and what it does. It can also help to create more interest when your prospect hears an example of all the improvements that another customer experienced. It can make them more interested. It can also establish credibility, help that prospect to trust you a little bit more, believe in all the different things you're saying. So it's really powerful. And what you can do is you can create a very short name drop blurb that's 2 or 3 sentences, 2 or 3 bullet points. And then you can plug that in all of your different scripts. You can have it at the end of your cold call script. You could have it in your voicemail scripts, your email templates. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a process here that you can copy and use to create your own name drop example. What we can do is we can look back to the other pieces of our sales message to create this name drop message. So first we could start with the target buyer. Now the target buyer for this sales message is small businesses. So we're going to use an accounting firm, small business. Now, if you're just going to use one sales message, you'd want to create a name drop example that you can use for everybody. But when you start getting sophisticated, the crawl, walk, run, when you start getting to like the run stage where you're targeting different industries, for example, if you're going to create a sales message for manufacturing and also one for retail, it would be good to have a name drop specific to manufacturing in your manufacturing sales message, and then a retail name drop example in your retail business sales message. So we're creating a name drop for one of the accounting firms that we worked with. Now we can look at pain points. So we looked at our different pain points and we see, okay, we solve the pain of need to generate revenue through the website. And so then we can say, we can use that to think about the accounting firm, and that the accounting firm, they needed to get more leads online. So they had that pain point. Then we can look back at the product that we sell. We sell web design services. So we help them to redesign their website. Then we can look at our value points that we already brainstormed. We have these 2. So we help them to convert more of their website traffic into leads, and that helped them to increase the revenue that they generated online. And so then that becomes our name drop example blurb. And then that's part of our sales message. And we can use that for, like I said, a lot of our different scripts and different areas of prospecting. So that's the process for creating your sales message. I know it's a lot, but once you go through all that, you can do a lot with that, because all of those different steps, what those do is those give us what we call building blocks. So you have a value points, a building block, a pain points building block, pain questions, current state, name drop, product, and whatnot. Those are all building blocks, and we can use all those building blocks once we have those in place to very easily create a lot of different documents, a lot of different scripts. And so if we go back to these 3 levels, we just completed level 1. We created a sales message, and then that takes us to level 2. And level 2 is extremely easy now because, like I said, we have those building blocks, and we can use those to mix and match them to create different call scripts, cold emails, voicemails, objection responses, meeting scripts, sales presentations, and whatnot. And that's what we'll actually talk about in the next training module, which is module 4. We're going to show you how to mix and match all those building blocks to create all of these different documents. And so that's what we'll talk about next. And we look forward to seeing you there. Now, if this has been helpful for you, if you've gotten at least one tip out of this and you want to return the favor, very easy for you to do. All you have to do is like, comment, share this video, subscribe to our channel. Any or all of those help us tremendously, and none of those cost you anything. If you like these tips and you may want to follow us on any or all of these social platforms, we post daily sales tips on these every day, which are quick tips taken from these long videos just to give you a sales tip of the day in a bite-sized format. Now, if you want more help, of course, everything I'm showing you here today is part of the SMART sales system, and SMART stands for sales messaging and response tactics. Our core belief is that the most powerful sales tool that a salesperson has are the words they say or the words they write in emails. And so we help salespeople to be better salespeople and sell more by helping them to build and create their best, most optimum, most powerful sales message. And then we help them with how to respond to objections, how to respond to questions. And then the SMART sales system is all about tactics to tell you exactly what to do, what not to do. And we call it a system because it's a 3-level system that you can actually implement for yourself or for your organization, with level 1 being the sales message. That's what we created here today. Once you have your sales message, then you can go to level 2 to create your scripts. That's what we'll talk about next week. And then level 3 is all about the how-to. So how to make cold cold calls, how to do cold emailing, how to handle objections and get around objections. Now, if you want to implement the smart sales system, you can do it all for free because it's all on YouTube. There's this playlist, the smart sales system, sell smarter, not harder. And there's a module for all the different pieces of the smart sales system. Now, we put our full training program on YouTube for free and give it away for free because it all aligns with a product that we sell called Sales Scripter. You can implement the smart sales system without Sales Scripter, but the two really align and go hand in hand. And for example, the level 1 of the smart sales system is the sales message, and there's an area of Sales Scripter called the sales message builder that will actually take you through the whole process that I went through here with you today and give you a place to organize your thoughts and brainstorm. It kind of walks you through all of that step by step. And then once you have your sales message in Sales Scripter, then Sales Scripter aligns with level 2, which it has a library of all the scripts and documents I'm going to show you in the next training module. And all of these templates fill in with your sales message. So there's no creation of the documents. Certainly you might want to edit the documents and make them your own, but this whole playbook fills in with all of your benefits and pain points and questions. So immediately you get a whole library of documents here. And then certainly Sales Scripter aligns with level 3 here, can help you with cold calling, objection handling, cold emailing, email automation. We have a full CRM and whatnot. So the upgrade from there would be certainly you can purchase consulting time with me where I'll help you to go through any of those levels, help you to create your sales message, help you to create your scripts and emails, help you with execution as well. If that's all interesting, but you still don't know what to do next, another option is to purchase my book called The Smart Sales System, Sell Smarter, Not Harder. This actually aligns with the training program and all of the videos, and you can get a copy of this on Amazon here. And that's pretty much it. If you have questions, want more information, the best place to go is salesscripter.com. You can get more information, more tips, free ebooks, more videos on salesscripter.com. There's a lot of information on the software product if you have questions on that. If you want to contact us with any questions, you can do it through the website. There's a chat feature, our email address, and whatnot. So hope this was helpful. Thanks for staying to the end of the video, and we will look for you in the next training module and see you there. Have a great day. Take care. Bye.